We're from New Orleans. I see a parade is coming. I grab a whistle, a baton, and a hi-hat. And I throw the baton in the air because there's a parade. And it's called the Kamala Harris Parade.
It's Kamala Gra? It's Kamala Gra?
That's it, bro. That's it, baby.
Hello and welcome to the Bulwark Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Miller. I told you we'd do a Monday pod, and we've had some big news since yesterday. Many of the big names in the party have rallied around Kamala, including nearly all of her most realistic challengers. J.B. Pritzker just announced a couple minutes ago. Though I do think Charli XCX posting Kamala is brat is probably her biggest endorsement yet. She's also raised over $60 million and counting. And here to talk about it all is veteran Democratic strategist, co-host of the Politics War Room, James Carville. James, where's the chaos we were promised? James, everybody told me if Joe Biden stepped aside, everybody told you, they're like, James, you can't do this. There'd be chaos. Where's the chaos, James?
There is none. And by the way, we're from New Orleans. I see a parade is coming. I grab a whistle, a baton, and a hi-hat. And I throw the baton in the air because there's a parade. And it's called the Kamala Harris Parade.
It's Kamala Gra? It's Kamala Gra?
That's it, bro. That's it, baby. And they can do whatever they want, but this train has left the station. Eat her dust.
Yeah, that's true. So me and Bill Crystal yesterday were talking about this, and he said at the time, he's like, look, the train could be gone in 4 hours, could be gone in 12 hours, or there could be a conversation. And clearly in the intervening time, there's no really realistic, challenge that's going to emerge, right?
No. As you know, I've been dealing with this for a long time.
I do.
Very kind of personal painful. I think at the end of the day, what really swayed the president was he couldn't get any politicians to show up. I mean, he goes to Michigan, and you can hide the polls from him. You can be sure he gets good news. You can adjust who he talks to. You can control who comes in and out, the information flow. But when he goes to Detroit and the governor, neither the Democratic senator nor the Democratic Senate candidate shows up, he knows that.
Yeah. That
cannot be hidden. And I think he had a growing sense of isolation that no one was going to go to the convention. He wasn't going to be able to march on the front row at a Labor Day parade with all the guys and, lefty and shifty and, whatever. That wasn't going to work out that way. And I think he figured it out.
Yeah, it's sad when you put it like that, but it's good on him for doing it. I feel like I should have mentioned this yesterday. Look, we've been on his ass. You've been on his ass longer than I have. It's still hard to do it. It's hard to step aside, and we're looking at the other side. When you look at the other side, so this is not saying, what was the Biden old line? Don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. He's not the almighty. But if you look at the alternative, these guys have been propping up a fucking rapist criminal for a decade now, and so having one, so that's nice.
My favorite is Van Joneses and even the Dan Abrams, both of whom I like. Yeah. Okay, I know them both. Talking about how Trump's a changed man. What in the fuck are you? If anybody says that, there should be a lifetime ban from being on anything. Okay? I mean, that is just a breathtaking ignorance of what people are like, and particularly Donald Trump. I mean, I love that. He was a changed man. I'll tell you what, that bro, yeah, my God, he found God. Yeah, right, sure, absolutely. He had every fucking felon you could imagine parading around the convention floor.
Yeah, and indeed, there's more felons. Do you ever have any felons at any of the conventions you ran, James? Do you have any speakers fly straight from jail to the stage?
None that I know of. Probably some, subsequent to. But that used to be. I remember a time in politics where it was a mark against you if you were convicted of a felony. But
maybe it still is. What do you think now? Turn into Kamala to forward looking.
So this is what I think, Tim. Yeah. First of all, people don't know her. And you got to understand that. And the Trump people know that people don't know her.
Yeah.
So in the next, somebody told me it was 38 days to the convention. I'm pulling that out of my ass. So I think someone told me that. It's a battle for definition. And usually summers are not the most exciting times about presidential politics. I think this one is going to be a little bit more. And they need to hurry and get some definition of her. Of course, they're going to come up with, they're going to hit her pretty hard because, and they hurt. This is just, it was like yesterday when they got the phone call. Oh God, shit, we got to change everything. And like you're a pilot and you're getting ready to land a plane, and everything is your whole mind is set on landing, and then they say there's a plane on the runway, you got to do a go around. You got oh shit, you have to rethink your whole mentality.
Yeah.
Now they're trained to do that, where political people are not.
Yeah, the mentality shift is noteworthy. And I want to talk a little bit about what Kamala can say, but let's look at the Trump side of this first, because obviously your claim to fame, it's the economy, stupid. Tim Alberta pointed out that the Trump people had a frame that they were sticking with, which was strength versus weakness, and and the debate and the assassination attempt both played right into that frame in a way that was like, this might, in a way that you could only dream about in a campaign, frankly. And he wrote yesterday, Alberta really cannot overstate how problematic this is for the Trump operation. Everything they built was customized for that contest, strength versus weakness with Biden. I mean, everything. And you can see that a little bit. I mean, it's only been 24 hours, but they seem to be flailing a little bit. I mean, they're going to attack her on immigration. They'll come up with stuff to attack her on, but they have lost their North Star a little bit, don't you think?
I do. Let me say this: Tim Alberta is one of the better reporters we have today. I mean, he's a very, very good reporter. And again, it goes back to my analogy. They were all prepared to land the airplane. They had the wheels down. They had the flaps in the right place. They had the towel on. Okay, and then, hey, we got to go back up. And that they're fighting the controls now. And I think that what Tim says fits pretty well with my earlier analogy.
Yeah, I want to play for you, just because you deserve a little bit of pain this morning, James. You're riding a little high, and so I want to play for you the voice of Stephen Miller. Here's him last night on Fox talking about the state of play.
They held a primary. People, they had ballots. They filled out circles. They went to the voting booths. They spent money on advertisements. And as President Trump said, the Republican Party spent tens of millions of dollars running against Joe Biden. Now they just woke up one morning and said, never mind, we're canceling the entire primary. We're getting rid of our candidate, and we're pretending the election has never even happened, and we're going to let donors handpick a new nominee.
Oh, poor little Nazi. Poor little Nazi, so sad.
I always knew that guy was odious. I never had to listen to a clip that long. Oh my God! Oh, you could see the fear on their face, and this is their the Democrat Party is a coup, and now that's how hard they've been hit. That's the depth of their argument.
You can see why he takes it out on immigrants. So now he had to have a tough time in the cafeteria with that voice and face.
You think anybody wanted to hang around him in high school? I don't think. No.
I don't think we need a professional psychologist to figure out what's happening there.
No.
What about their other message that they're going to try to do with the coup thing is that the Biden should resign. Biden must resign. There's been a cover up. I mean, look, as somebody who's been talking about the Biden age problem for a while against interest, like what do you think is the efficacy of that message?
Well, what they're probably going to say is that Harris knew he was declining and didn't say anything and put the country at jeopardy, and I'm sure she's got a very good answer for it, and she's going to pull it up and use it for sure. But right now they haven't settled on anything. They're just picking up the machine gun, and somebody's coming up. But Harris, they have to be very aggressive right now in definition. They need to worry less about organizing and more about getting out there.
The Harris team, you mean, or the Trump?
The Harris team.
Yeah.
And they need to start doing some things and fast. They can want some of my ideas, go to a Carlisle Army War College. You got all kinds of people write a national defense foreign policy speech. I think part of her campaign, and remember, she was a successful DA, Attorney General, and she couldn't talk about it in 2020 because of the asininity in Democratic campaign coach in 2020 wouldn't allow you to talk about that. So she looked like an empty vessel.
Yeah.
She looked like because the real reason.
She didn't have a story. Yeah.
She didn't have the story. I mean, she couldn't tell people the real truth. Well, now the real truth kind of helps her.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? It's
Exactly.
just how much it changes. And the one thing that people believe, and mark this down, they believe these companies are rigging prices, fixing prices, talking to each other to screw them over. And she has a consumer background to say, I'm going to have Attorney General establish a task force to see when in violation of any trust laws or whatever. Then that you using that experience to something that they can't say, that people really do care about, and they really do think. They will say in focus groups, I can't tell you, a number of people say, but Joe Biden hadn't caused inflation. He's too old to cause inflation.
Yeah.
Okay, these companies are doing it, but he's too old to stop them.
Yeah.
I mean, take that.
So you want a little populist from Kamala. I took on the big banks. I took on these big corporations. I'm going to go out there and do that.
Take on, but most of all, you're taking on price fixing.
Yeah, price fixing.
Okay, that's because if you try to, I took on this and I'm going to do away with the capital gains tax and you get lost.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to allow them we'll allow them to make a profit as they're entitled to, but not to make unreasonable predatory profits at the expense of American people.
You're
That's not what I insist.
You're hurting my former Republican free market soul with this message, James, but it seems smart, though. That seems like good politics, maybe.
I think it is good politics. And by the way, you know, Adam Smith, you know, really believed in antitrust laws. Really didn't believe in price fixing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the most violative thing you can do to capitalism.
That's true. But grocery stores aren't monopolies.
But the Kraft Foods is a monopoly. You know, the largest egg companies are. And what they have is if the top three are talking to each other, capitalism loses what it's supposed to be about, competition. Yeah. I mean, I would argue my argument should fit right into your earlier laissez-faire capitalist instincts.
Okay. All right. We're going to try to blend them. We'll blend.
All right. Okay.
I'm for that.
Okay, all right.
And then but the prosecutor thing also goes to, she's going to have to, she had that tweet that she sent out about the bail fund, which is going to hurt her. But, you know, she has a record of being strong on law and order. She has a record of going after corruption. She has a record of going after corrupt politicians and companies. I mean, that's where she's got to start, right? Like that for you with Trump, or do you think that's a little too?
No. Remember, there's one more thing. This rising crime rate. I mean, falling crime rates, and not just falling a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. And I think she made a mistake when she didn't take crime as her portfolio as soon as she came into the office of vice president. But, you know, best time planning oak tree 25 years ago, second best now.
Yeah.
Under the Biden-Harris administration, we took over from Donald Trump, and crime rate is down 25%, whatever it is. Pretty good message.
Yeah.
You couldn't handle it.
I agree with that. Obviously, the abortion message is stronger. Biden was
so. I want to interrupt you just so.
No, go ahead.
I keep hearing this. The Democratic. What happened to the Democratic Party? How did the Democratic Party fall apart? I was reading something I might have found by this guy Tyler Coward, who's kind of leading.
Yeah. He's an economist up at George Mason.
Right. I got news for you. The Democratic Party is not falling apart. It wins elections.
Yeah.
Okay, so it hasn't lost an election in 2 years. We were winning every Senate race.
Yeah.
Every Senate race. People had a problem with the fact that Biden was too old. The problem is, and of course, the Democratic Party is always convoluted, but the Democratic Party has not fallen apart. It's a much stronger party if you count elections, which that's a pretty good barometer. And it's true among some Democrats that the whole thing is going to hell in a handbasket, and the party's, irretrievably damaged. And that's just not true at all.
No. We kept saying this on all the polls. Democratic senator candidates were all winning. There's no evidence of any issues.
Nothing. And that Michigan poll where Biden was down 7, that was yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And I said, I bet you Slotkin is up. Look. And he said, well, yeah, she is up. And that was everywhere. People actually want to vote Democratic. It's a hard thing to say because it's always Dems in disarray,
right.
party, but I think this is pretty defining moment.
All right. I want to do VPs, but first, all that happy talk, I like to be rain cloud, James. So what worries you about Kamala?
What worries me is this. You think of the great politicians. You think Reagan, for sure, Clinton, for sure, Obama. I guess going back, maybe Eisenhower, a little older, but whatever. They were all very competitive, but you know what they all had in common? They never looked like they were trying too hard. And once you look like you're trying too hard, and that's something that Harris has got to understand, the line that where you look too aggressive. You look like you're Bobby Jindal, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be Bobby Jindal.
You don't want to be Bobby Jindal. And sometimes I look at clips of her, if I were her campaign manager, I'd say, Madam V, let's take about 20% off of that. And I think one of the things that when women come up in politics, they probably feel like they don't get heard. And so they have to be aggressive because no one, I think this is just something.
Yeah, no, she would say that. She would say that. I think that, because my criticism of her in the past is that sometimes she gets in her head. And I think that people say, like, because of the way women are treated, because of the abuse you get, because of like the language,
right.
that you overthink things, like, right. A little bit. And when you're overthinking, when you're in your head, then you come off as a little more like you're trying.
I would say let's try less harder.
Yeah.
Let's be as ambitious as ever, but don't give the people that you're trying too hard because it's not a good sales tactic.
Yeah. I don't know what you think about this. My advice to the team would be, and has been, she should let it rip. If I was her, I would just try to go out there and be like, I can't be worried that they're going to take some clip out of context, right? Like, I just got to be me and do me, and maybe that'll be better. But I don't know.
Once you start thinking they're going to do that, then you think of every word that you say, and then you end up not saying anything. And I would really, really coach self-confidence, and you know what to say. And you're right. Yeah, but they'll take anything and redo it and rework it. But I just, she's exhibiting some. I'm looking for self-confidence. Like I'm going to win this goddamn thing. You understand?
Yeah.
And I thought her answer was, I'm going to work hard to earn a nomination. I thought this was just stupid. MSNBC, if you don't nominate her, this is an affront to women of color in the intergalactic system, and you cannot do this. That's a dumb message, all right? Yeah. But she, to her credit, she said, I plan on competing for the nomination. By saying that, no one's going to run against you. If you say I'm entitled to the nomination, somebody's going to run against you. I mean, it's actually the smart political thing to say.
I agree with that.
So I'm so far so good, but we ain't going very far.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. Okay, one more thing you just popped in my head before VPs on the confidence thing. Man, I think the Republicans got to have some regrets that they're a little overconfident right now. I look back at that convention and the pick of J.D. Vance, just the whole vibe of it was like that they felt like this was a coronation and Trump's rightful return to the throne. And all that looks like that was kind of a miss now in retrospect. I don't know. Do you still pick J.D. Vance if you knew they were going to do this?
Well, what's interesting is, so let's fast forward Thursday, the 22nd of August in Chicago, Harris. So it's Harris, her husband, her kids, and I don't know. It's Andy Bashir. Of Josh Phil, a 45-ish guy with 3 kids and a wife, and they're on the podium and the balloons are dropping.
Yeah,
that's signal strength. Now,
that's America.
They can't do that with J.D. Vance. And I'm just saying, I'm not being. I'm just telling you what time it is. You know this. I know this. His wife is Hindu. Is an Indian. Apparently was clerk for 2 Supreme Court justices. I don't know if it is. But and they are attacking her right now. The right is. And so can they bring J.D. Vance's wife and kids, and I don't know. Y'all built that stinky shit house that you live in. Go ahead and live in it. I don't give a fuck. If somebody, but you know how these people are.
Yeah, Usha took some shit from the right, no doubt. And I just think that also JD, just like him and Trump sitting next to each other, just take the families out of it. Kamala and Kamala sitting next to her VP, Trump and him, like he looks sad. He's like this little kind of, he's got his baby fat still on his face, and he's got to say, "Yes, sir, Mr. Trump. Yes, sir, Mr. Trump." And like, he's been very extreme on the issues. I don't know.
You're talking about a potential vice presidential pick. If they want somebody to go after Trump and Vance, defend her, there's somebody 3 times better than all the rest of them put together.
Who's that?
Miss Landrieu.
All right,
the best attacker, defender you could imagine.
Do you worry a little bit about Mitch and Kamala having to carry all the Biden baggage? I thought about Mitch.
They're going to make you carry it. They're going to make you carry it no matter what. Yeah. But a little bit. If you had Bashir Shapiro, look, if you wanted a kind of can-do message in a swing state, then you go to Josh.
Yeah.
If you want a real kind of youth message that appeal to middle America or something, then you go with Andy. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but the thing is, you got a lot of good choices.
I like the Mitch idea. I should have mentioned it yesterday because it had come to my mind and I forgot. Like, do you think that's like feasible, conceivable that he'd be in the conversation?
But I think it would be conceivable, but if where you doing when you're looking at your potential vice president, you have a lot of things that you're going to look for. The one thing that he excels in is attacking and defending.
Yeah,
I mean, and I would just have him. Honestly, I wouldn't let him out 3 miles away from a TV studio.
I was talking with Liz Smith about this, my friend who did Pete's campaigns, now helping the DNC. So unfortunately, she can't be on. She's but we were just talking about behind the scenes, and her point, and with Pete, there's gay stuff that potentially it's like, are we going a little too far with a black woman and a gay man? I don't know. There's maybe some concerns there, but her point, which is right in line with yours, is in this day and age, especially, given what the Democrats have had and a lack of messaging in the Biden-Harris ticket, like picking somebody that can sit in a TV studio, that can do YouTube videos, that can just be constantly on the attack, delivering messages, is like a super valuable trait in modern politics, more so than when like you only had to go on the nightly news, and it's sort of a small list. I mean, Pete can do it, obviously. Shapiro, I think, can do it well. Mitch could do it. Like once you get past that, I think maybe like a Chris Murphy could do that.
By the way, Chris Murphy don't if I were putting parlays or something, if I had like 25-1 shot, I definitely would Chris Murphy, because he generates, if not that, he's way older than he looks.
Yeah,
and he's got the one issue that's really potent that Democrats do not exploit, and that's the whole gun issue.
Yeah.
So I think that you were smart to mention Chris's name. I mean, what we finding out is what people like you and I knew all the time is there's so fucking much talent in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so. When you start talking, well, we could use this guy. Well, we can use this guy. We can do this. Oh, we can do that. Or what about that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a fun game, but there's a lot of people walking around out there that can fill a lot of bills right now.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, there's 2 of the top candidates really quick, then I'll let you go. Shapiro, this is basically a Shapiro porn podcast at times. So I think he's done a great job. I worry the Israel issue, Israel-Gaza, has been off the table for a while for Democrats. It was obviously a huge problem in the spring. He was vocal, rightly, by the way, speaking about against anti-Semitism on campus. He is Jewish. Do you worry about that, like becoming a distraction?
Very, very, very little.
Okay.
And when you have the Republican senator at a Trump rally trying to run with you, the Democratic governor, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that's
which is something that happened for Shapiro. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something that happened for Shapiro. That's how popular he is. And his whole reputation is can-do stuff. I think regardless of regardless, there are reasons that people, feel very intensely about this whole issue either side. I just don't think it's going to be that big of a voting issue. I mean, some of the young, college young, percent of people under 30 go to Ivy League schools, and can't count them, it's so small. All right?
Yeah.
And
I guess it's kind of nice it's kind of nice actually to not have that baggage potentially, just as far as turnout in Madison and Ann Arbor and stuff is concerned, maybe.
So, but boy, they bring you a lot, but it's something to.
All right, last one.
Lieberman didn't cost Gore 200 votes.
That's true. Lieberman. Now you're talking the Bulwarks, the Bulwarks language. Our dream McCain Lieberman ticket never came to pass. All right, last guy, Mark Kelly. People floated him. Astronaut, great bio, Arizona swing state. Some concerns though that I guess a Democrat could appoint his replacement, Katie Hobbs, but then it's up in 26, and maybe Chuck doesn't like that. Maybe isn't quite as compelling. The most compelling story between him and Gabrielle, but maybe not as compelling like verbally as some of the other people we've talked about. What do you think about Kelly?
Look, he's a very hot pick among the kind of more elite chattering class. My only thing I would say about Senator Kelly is he's a little old.
Yeah.
Ideally, I'd like to have somebody under 55. Right.
Because you want to be able to troll that old ass motherfucker. He's the oldest candidate ever now. It's our issue now.
All right.
It's our issue.
Right. I just think we want to project generational change, youth, vigor, and there are a lot of people we got that can do that with.
Okay, I agree with that. All right. Finally, to close. Well, actually, I have one more thing before we close. Can you? What do you got? What do you got back there? What's your favorite bottle back there? You got your whiskey cabinet behind us. You got something? You got a favorite? You wanna show us if we want to have a victory sip this weekend?
This is a little bit old, but this is a Zen wine. This is a Weinbach Riesling, which is a hell of a good frickin' wine. People don't understand how good a wine that Riesling can be. They really don't. And this is something, I don't even know what this is. Somebody gave it to me. Vancouver Island Seaside Gin. I love gin.
Okay.
I'm a big gin guy. I don't think there's any such thing as a vodka martini.
A little Vancouver Island Seaside Gin Martini.
Yeah.
I might need a Seaside Gin Martini myself this weekend. Well,
there
James,
you go.
I wanted to have that because I wanted to have a toast to you, because I got to tell you this. I know you've taken some shit over the past year or two, and you don't want to be patting yourself on the back. But I got to say, for about a year now, James Carville and David Axelrod, who were the strategists behind the last two successful Democratic presidents before Joe Biden, were out there saying repeatedly, this is a problem. He's too old. There's an iceberg ahead. We should turn before we get to the iceberg. And a bunch of idiots who don't know anything at the Midas Touch podcast are like Black Knight 10 on Twitter, or like random people who've never been on campaigns. All these people are out there like, hey, actually what I think we should do is press on the gas and speed right into the iceberg, and every day, like, yeah. And Jay, these old fuckers don't know anything. And we got to speed straight into the iceberg. And I got to say, maybe we should have just listened to people who know a thing or two and have been around politics. Maybe there's something to be said for that. That's all I'm going to say. Because it seems like the election isn't won yet, but just vibes wise, seems like things are turning out a little okay. I don't know. One man's opinion.
Thank you. All for the greater glory of LSU.
Go Tigers. James Carville, thank you for coming on. Go Tigers. We got the #1 recruit in the country coming next year, Bryce Underwood out of Michigan. Life is good. Kamala is brat. Tigers are king. Thank you to James Carville. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Bulwark Podcast. See y'all then. Peace.